So today's topic is Graffian follicle. Okay, how the Graffian follicle is formed. Initially, you will be having a primary oocyte with a nucleus. What is this primary oocyte? And it is surrounded by, we'll use some other color, and these cells are called as follicular cells. Initially, it will be flat. Cells will be there. That follicle is called as primordial follicle. Primordial follicle. Understand? And then what happens, this primordial follicle, next step, it undergoes that same oocyte will be there with the nucleus. Oocyte with the nucleus will be there, but the surrounding cells will become cuboidal now, right? It becomes cuboidal now nicely. So this follicle is called as, now again it forms, what happens, again it multiplies. Now it is cuboidal, again it multiplies. Now we can draw like this, multiplies. No, it gets multiplication inside nucleus is there. Now it gets multiplied, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Again it gets multiplied, double layer. Now it is called as primary follicle. What is this follicle? Primary follicle. Understand? So first the one is called primordial, it is called primary. Second, now what happens, next layer, again the same oocyte with the nucleus, but here one important new person is arriving, that is called as zona pellucida. So formation of zona pellucida. Zona pellucida is very important for the penetration. The sperm should penetrate the zona pellucida, then only it can enter inside and join with the nucleus. And then now multiple layer again. Okay, so here you will be getting a multiple layer. This layer is getting multiplied. Okay, 1, and then it is getting 2. But in the meantime, what happens when it is getting multiplied, these cells are called granulosa cells. In the meantime, that extracellular fluid enters inside and they form a cavity inside. That is called as antral cavity, which contains a fluid. This multiple layer of cells are called as granulosa cells. Granulosa cells. Understand? This cavity is called antral cavity. Antral cavity. The fluid inside is called as antral fluid. Okay, the fluid inside is called as antral fluid. So now if you happen to see a cavity inside the granulosa cells, that is called as secondary follicle. After that, what happens, this antral cavity pressure is getting increased, more and more fluid is coming inside. So what happens, same thing, you will be getting the oocyte with the nucleus, and then zona pellucida is there, and then next is the granulosa cells is getting multiplied. So what happens, this oocyte is pushed towards the periphery because there is a big cavity is being formed. So what happens, this area, the entire area, the cavity is very big, so it pushes the oocyte to the periphery. That is the point. It pushes the oocyte to the periphery. So when it pushes the oocyte to the periphery, what happens, again the granulosa cells, they have got multiplied, and can you see some cells which surrounds this layer? This is called cumulus oophorus. What is this called? Cumulus oophorus. This area of the cells, this is only very important. This area is called as corona radiata. What is this called? Corona radiata. The granulosa cells which are adherent with the oocyte. Now at the time of ovulation, it is called at the time of ovulation. At the time of ovulation, this primary oocyte will become secondary oocyte. So now itself you should call this a secondary oocyte. So first meiotic division got completed. So secondary oocyte has been formed, and you can see nicely here a polar body in the specimen, in the museum spotters specimen also, in the embryology model also, you could see one polar body. You could see nicely the zona pellucida. You can see inside, so far you have called this as a primary oocyte. Now at the time of ovulation, you can see only the secondary oocytes inside the follicle, and the area of attachment of granulosa cells near the oocyte is called as corona radiata. Why it is important, the sperm should pierce the corona radiata first. with the sperm head you will be having an enzyme called acrosomal enzyme. So it has to pierce the coronary radiata, then only it can pierce the zona pellucida, then only it can enter inside. So this is the first main gate. So coronary radiata is very important. So this area, the cells are accumulated around this. This is called as cumulus oophorus. Now what happens when at the end of the period, the entire the ovum is coming down, and this area will become thinned out and it gets ruptured and the ova will be out. That is called as ovulation. Understand? So this is called as antral cavity. This big follicle is called Graffian follicle. It has two layers. Number one layer is theca interna. Number two layer which is present out is called theca externa. So theca interna, the granular cells, two types of cells. Number one which is present inside is called as theca interna. The outside fibrous one, that is called as theca externa. Theca interna secretes hormones. Theca interna secretes hormones. Which hormones it secretes? Estrogen. This will be asked. Theca externa, what is the role of theca externa? Cells outside, what is the role of? This forms a fibrous covering. So the theca interna forms the hormone, and theca externa outer fibrous covering. That's all. So this is about the Graffian follicle. So I will draw it neatly here. Number one, will be having the, here in the Graffian follicle, the oocyte is called as secondary oocyte. Surrounding the secondary oocyte, all the cells will be accumulated and it is pushed to the periphery. That's why, because of the big antral cavity, so you have to draw a big antral cavity here. So because of the antral cavity, these cells are pushed towards outside. So we will be having two cells. That's all. Okay. So corona radiata, cumulus oophorus, antral cavity, theca interna cells, and then the second layer is theca externa. Theca interna secretes hormones, theca externa secretes outer fibrous layer. Thank you.